All right, so I got my pastel mat. I'm working large today. I got my 12 by 15 paper because I have white in it, and I'm using my white paper because I'm going to use the alcohol today to make a nice colored primed base. Spot colored. So like my oranges, I'm going to do a base of orange. I'm going to do blue all around it because orange and blue, they're complementary colors. So they, they're going to mix and they're going to make mud. And we don't want mud. We want loud. This is a loud subject. So, which is why I chose it, because it's so, I don't know. I feel like someone could have like a blue couch with an orange pillow on it, and then they would see this and be like, I need that artwork. So yeah, it's coming from like just a design point of view in my head. Let's go over some of our colors. I'm going to zoom in. Go. All right. Up here, I thought this was white, but apparently it's kind of not. It's a very pale gray. It's a more of a blue pale gray. So I got it from my blue area, but white is ideally a color as well that I just haven't pulled out yet. Here I have a cream colored new pastel. I have here, we're going to call this Velveeta. Here we have more of like a lemon yellow. Here I have a new pastel. It is $2.68. It's like a chartreuse. If I can clean it enough to show that. I still have the number on there. I don't know the number for this one, but $2.68. Here I have like a very, it's like a dirty flesh kind of color. It's very, I don't know what to call that. Dirty flesh. Here we have a more burnt sienna color. Here I have a little bit of my attempt of an orange, because I have like no oranges in my pastel set. So that's my attempt of an orange. I believe it's a new pastel. I don't think it's the orange one though. I don't know what it is. Here I have my typical 244p. I didn't even get to show you that one on the bottom. There's that guy. 244p. So blue violet, which is a very gray purple. Here I have a very kind of subtle green. I picked this for maybe some of the light spots on the green leaves, although I think I'm going to have to go even more, like, I'm going to use the word obnoxious with the green, because it's probably like a very experimenty green that we need for those lights. Here I have just a red. Here I have my dark purple. It's a Terry Ludwig V100. It's almost a black. You know what, though? I'm going to pull out my black as well, just because sometimes I need my hard edge. So I'm going to put him over here next to this other dark. It's also a Terry Ludwig that I don't know the number of, but it just looks dark gray. So there's my darks. Here I have 298. This is a new pastel. It's a dark green. Here I have another Terry Ludwig that I don't know the number of, but it's like a very dark brick red kind of tone. Pretty much because I don't really have a dark orange. So we're just going to hope for the best with all those. Up top, we have a slew of blues. Skip this, more blues. And that's the same color. And that's about it. So that's my color lineup. All right, but let's sketch this guy out first, because that's important. And it's just a matter of some circles. So what color should I draw with? I think I'm going to draw with, I'll draw with an orange, or whatever this color is. I don't, whatever it is. All right, so I rotated my reference photo so it's horizontal. I made it so the light source is coming from the top. So the reason I did that is because via Zoom, it's easier for me to do a recording in a horizontal layout than a vertical layout. So that's why I did that. I do like it like this though, but I mean, the person can hold it any way they want, I guess, right? So let's start by sketching these out. And let's see, we have 4 kind of in this vicinity. Now my paper seems to be a little bit more of a slightly different shape than the one that is in the reference photo, but that's okay. Let's see, 4 circles, and mine are about life size, I guess. Okay, try to make them so they're not perfectly spaced out from each other, like on a die. Make them a little bit more kind of uneven. There's this guy living under here. There's a little corner buddy. I'm gonna let him be a little more visible. There we go. Okay, now there are all these leaves, and we do want to map them in. But things like the stems, you don't really have to worry about for right now, because we are going to do the rubbing alcohol. So I'm going to throw in my leaf shapes first. And honestly, I could draw them in green just to make it easier on my eye, but that's all right. We will fill them in with green. So they're long, they're skinny. Some of them kind of have some like bevels to them. Oh, I just saw one over here. It's like this little guy in shadow. We don't really see much of him, but I'm gonna bookmark him in there. It's like a little pinwheel or something. Let's see. This guy's gonna have a stem, even though I said don't draw it in. Sometimes I just draw it in so I can better draw the leaves in, and then I'll just paint over that stem for right now when I do my under layer. So let's see, this leaf over here has one bump and then another bump, and that's how it's gonna look like it's gonna be turning in space. Kind of looks like a music note almost, one of those things in the beginning of the notes. You could tell that I don't read notes to know what that is. All right, there's one there. Now, any of the leaves that you see elsewhere, like randomly, you can or you don't have to put them in. Like there's a skinny one over here, and I think that would just look, I don't know, I don't like it, so I'm not gonna put it in. But I do like this curved guy over here. So he's kind of cinched in the middle, buckles out, and he buckles in. Like so. Some of these other ones, like you can put them in and we can go around them with the green or with the blue rather. But if you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on up there, you can either omit them or you can just put blue and then put the green on top later. So it's really very forgiving. There's no like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm doing. This is like a watercolor. Nope. We have that undo button. Some of these are nice and big. Just make sure your leaves aren't like too symmetrical. You know, maybe one side's a little rounder, maybe one side scoops in a little sooner. Okay. Our little stem thing here. There's going to be one big leaf coming out this way, one big leaf this way, another leaf this way. Sometimes I put that middle vein in first and then base my shape around it. Okay, let's see. There's one. I don't know where this guy's coming from, but he kind of connects these two. So I kind of like that, how he's marrying these two together. So we're gonna go with it. Needs to end a little sooner. I'm looking at the relationship of how things align with each other. Mine are a little off here and there, but as long as you make it work in your piece, that's fine. Oh my goodness, there's so many leaves going on over here. I don't know about this. I think I'm just gonna put in some, and then I could always choose to add more later. I can even suggest the leaves by just doing in like some strokes. Maybe I'm just gonna draw some very abstract shapes down there and be like, this is supposed to be green eventually. We got some leaves up here. These ones are nice. They follow the rules. They're not crazy. There's one leaf. There's another leaf over here. And here is, he's going to be hiding a little. Okay. Now, there's always a thing of cast shadows that we can worry about as well. So since the lighting is coming from the top, I'm going to draw this part in a different color just so it doesn't get too overwhelming. So I'm going to do it dark anyway. So I'm just going to actually kind of put it in with a tone, just for the drawing purpose, so you can see where my shadow shapes lie, because it's hard to see sometimes the shadow on this very intense dark blue. And it's a soft shadow. We don't have to have hard lines. Let's see right here. all over here. We have a little shadow here. Just think about if something is like right like up here where my fingertips are, that's where, let's say, the light source is, although it would technically be further up because of just logistics of it, but you don't see my hand if it's too far above. But imagine the sun being, or the window, I should say, it's probably sitting on the inside of a window, being a little higher up on our vanishing point. This is all going to be dark over here. Sometimes it's nice just to put things in just so we can bookmark them in our brain, right? Just so we know, like, oh, right, there's a shadow here, or oh, this existed because of this. So when we do start to lay more details in, we'll be aware of that. I think that's pretty much everything. Get a little bit of stuff over here in. There we go. All right. Now, when we do the rubbing alcohol on top, we will, well, I mean, we're going to lay some color down first, but when we do the rubbing alcohol, we're thinking of it as just base. Like, we're not thinking about shading or anything. We're not worrying about anything other than blocking the oranges in with maybe like a dark orange, and then we'll lay light on top, or you could do it vice versa. With the blue, I'm just going to put a base of a blue down, and the shadows, I'll do like almost like a black for that, or my dark purple. And for the green leaves, I'm just going to do a base of green. So it's going to look very, very graphic and weird looking for a while, but that's okay. But we're going to pause right there for a second. Okay, so now the drawing's in, we have our basic shadow vibes, but now we're going to put in our colors. Now, I have a whole kind of world of colors going on. I think I'm going to do some dark oranges, and then I'm going to do the light on top after it's all dry. So it's going to look weird, but I'm going to block in my whole orange with some dark stuff first. It does not look like an orange right now, but that's okay. Let's get some of that in. And I'm using a pretty nice pastel, which I shouldn't. I should really opt to get a different pastel. Just because you could honestly, if you have a set of like really yucky pastel, not yucky, that's a strong thing, a pastel set that is maybe less expensive, and you know, like even the kid ones, you know, like we just want ones that are going to lay down a color for us and just able to be mushed around with the rubbing alcohol, so that way we can then layer on top with our good stuff. You don't want to use like anything fancy at this stage. I think I'm using a Rembrandt right now, which is fine by me. Don't mind Rembrandts being used. Now you can do this the opposite way too. You can do a lighter orange and cover them so they actually look like an orange, not like a brown thing. And then do the darks on top later. Either way, work fine. I'm always one of those people that likes there to just apply light on top. Just like, let there be light. Oh, we'll get some texture. Either way you choose, you're gonna get some nice texture on it. My pastel mat has these little grooves in it and it drives me nuts. That's been common lately. Pastel mat. Okay, those are my oranges. Now I'm gonna do a base of green for my leaves. I think I'm gonna do dark for them too. Everything's gonna end up being so dark. That's all right. And you don't even have to color it in that perfect. Because when we use our brush, we can kind of manipulate the edges of things and almost paint it into a new shape too.
Andrew, I had the wrong white paper. If I use yellow, will that work?
That's totally fine. Yep, that's okay. Either way, everything's going to be covered. I just figure I have all this white paper. I'm not a fan of it, so I was like, we're going to do alcohol. The pad that I bought, and I think it's still on sale on Amazon, you know, the pastel mat that comes from the UK through Jackson's. Great sale, great deal. Takes a couple while to come in, but that's all right. But the big pads, the green pad was less expensive than the other pads. So here I am with the green pad, which comes with white. But it's, you know, it's kind of cool because then I could I could even put one color of the whole white paper and just be like, now it is this color paper. So that's the perk of using the white too, of having that option. I'm just doing spot coloring. I really feel like I'm doing like a coloring book right now. Okay, this is all like that weird green stuff over here. I'm just gonna kind of create a shape. Okay, now for the shadows underneath, I'm gonna go a little heavier with my Terry Ludwig, even though I don't want to use this. I can't use that. But then also black is so rare now with the new pastel. I'm kind of in a predicament. All right, I'll just use the black for now. I feel bad using my nice Terry Ludwig for something that's just gonna be alcoholed over. Crispin up some of these shapes a little bit. It doesn't have to be that much. It's all gonna get darker once we put stuff on. I just wanted to read a little darker than the leaves right now. Let's see. Over here. Think about values a little bit, at least for right now, even though we're making some extreme values with, like, say the orange being all dark everywhere. I'm just noticing that, you know, this whole area is just dark in general, so it's got to be something. I can't leave it the way it's paper. Okay, I think that's everything. So I'll be taking my rubbing alcohol. I have the 91%, really doesn't matter. You can use even water, it's just that alcohol will evaporate faster. Oh, I forgot to put the blue down. Oh my goodness. Well, my alcohol's ready. Well, let's put our blue down. And you could always opt to do the blue after, like maybe if you're scared or something, you could do the blue after. This is I believe this is a Rembrandt too. Just get something down. You don't even have to do multiple shades of blue right now. You can just choose one blue, get it in. You're just screaming in the back. Careful around things. Just don't want the color to bleed. Ooh, it looks so interesting. So rough. I'm so not used to working on white paper. All this speckles coming through. That in there. Always use this side. If you have a larger area and you need to make it smaller, just break it in half. I'm putting a little blue over this just to make it a little darker over here. There we go. Now we're ready for the alcohol. So, oh boy. I have my soft brush here. It's not the best brush, which is why I opted for it, because you don't need a fancy brush for this. Don't use brand new brush. I'm gonna actually start with the orange. So that way it is just, they're done, they're the subject, and just be done with it. You can use a few different brushes if you want, one per color. You could also just keep cleaning them. Sometimes people will start with the darks instead because, I'm sorry, we'll start with the lights instead, because eventually you'll dirty up your rubbing alcohol, and you don't want to do your lights later if you have dirty rubbing alcohol. See, mine's already orange. Let me do that everywhere. I mean, it's a fairly limited palette today. I mean, even though we're working with complementary colors, I know we're going to do so many layers on top. So what this does, remember, is this fixes it to the paper. So it's kind of like using spray fixative, but kind of times 10. So the powder, the pigment itself is embodying itself into the paper. So that way, when we layer on top, colors will not mix with the colors that I have embedded into the paper, fixed to the paper. If you have a lot of pastel down, or if you have a lot of soft pastel down specifically, it almost like slides around and it doesn't do that great of things. So just watch which pastel you kind of use. That's why I don't want you to use like a nice soft one, because those are expensive anyway. You don't need fancy for right now. Okay, all my oranges are done. I'm gonna do my green. There we go. They look so dark. My husband didn't close my door. Oh, a little bit here. So I'm also thinking about color theory wise, what is going to happen if I put like a orangey color on my brush and then put it on a green leaf? Like nothing horrible. If anything, it's just going to neutralize it a little bit. I don't mind that, especially in the preliminary stages. We have to really make sure that our piece dries too, hair dryer, whatever we need, because you'll know if it's not dry, that paper, not the backing, but the paper layer on top, if it is even remotely moist, it will tear and rip. It won't rip the backing, but it will kind of skid up, and like the paper pulp will kind of, pick up from the backing behind it. And that isn't good. You don't want to do that. There we go. Okay. Add a little bit more into my little thingy. And now we're going to go into the blue and the darks. I'm going to do all the darks just to, I guess I could do it section by section. Look at that beautiful blue. It's like a royal blue. It's a little bit more of like, I don't know, I want to say it's like more of like an indigo, like a little more of a red heavy blue. Now that I'm diluting this, mine looks almost like more like a phthalo blue. So that's interesting, which I don't mind. I could always add other blues on top though. So there's that. I wouldn't switch to too big of a brush for the background, just because we do have a lot of little things to go around. Just get all that white covered. That's our goal. It's like when you're painting the walls, and like the walls were red to begin with and you want to paint them light blue. Like you can't just go straight to light blue. You got to put a primer down. This is our primer. I mean, you could do it, but you're going to waste a lot of buckets of paint trying to get to where you want to go. Same thing like if in paint, if you're mixing a color and you want to say you want to mix pink, you should always start with white, not red. Red's a strong color. You're going to end up putting a whole tube of white in just to make it slightly lighter. But if you start with white, tiniest bit of red makes a huge difference. There we go. I'll go over here now. There we go. Hey, Brooks, can you close, or River, can you close my door?
Yes.
Thank you. little bit more quiet. This is all very dark in here, and I'm okay with that because it is dark in the picture. Sometimes just scary. Like this is the, artwork always goes through those stages, and one of the stages, like that puberty stage where it's like, I don't know about this. I see where it's going, but it's kind of ugly right now. This is it. This is that stage. And then it's gonna grow and blossom and be wonderful. Okay, that's just about all covered. So very rough, very, I don't know, a whole word for it, but it's gonna let it sit. I'm gonna let it dry, and then we'll start laying our real color on. Okay, so let's go back to our spotlight, and my little accidental touch when it was wet lifted up that paper pulp. So I have everything super dry. I can confidently rub my hands on top and nothing gets on them. So I am ready to roll. I'm going to do some orange stuff first. I think I'm going to zone in on this guy right here, so we can come in a little closer. We'll do this guy first. So let's start to layer in some light. So I'm going to almost treat the texture of the paper to my advantage. It's going to look very rindy right off the bat. A little bit of my Velveeta in there. Get a little bit lighter all around. This color can kind of start to morph into the middle value there. And then I'm just going to let it go into what's already there. Now under here, we could also even probably go a little bit redder too. So I'm going to throw a little bit of my brick red on, but leaving a lot of the color that I have there, because that's the whole purpose of it, to let it do the job for me. Let it work for me. A little burnt sienna, layering up to my light. I have this lemony yellow here, which I don't want it to look like a round lemon though. So I want to just watch that. I can start to even kind of plan out my stick, or my stem, I should say. Now, if you use too soft of a pastel, it's gonna, eventually say, I'm done. The paper doesn't like me anymore. I don't need to be here anymore. So you just have to watch that. But I am gonna throw in that stem. Looks like the base is somewhere around here. I'm gonna use my black just to kind of get it plopped in. Like it kind of goes this way, does a little bump, and just barely exceeds off of the orange. This right here is a great example of perspective and foreshortening. So it's coming towards us. So it's going to be shorter than we think it is. So keep that in mind. A little bit there. I'm going to throw a little bit of blue on my stem because it is picking up a little bit of blue. Might even need to be a little bit lighter too. I'm going to snag a little of my light blue that I didn't pull out before. What is this? 335 maybe? It's whatever the light blue is in New Pastel. Couple little highlights, maybe a little highlight right on the edge there. That's probably gonna end up being covered, but I wanted to put it in anyhow right here. Just to bookmark it, not forget it, that little tip that shows where it's broken off. Okay, let's go in with a little green. I spy green. With a little bit of that on. Everything's gonna look different once we get everything else in as well. So that's something to be mindful of. Color looks different when there's other colors next to it. There's some pretty intense reflected light going on the underside of this one though. There's a little bit of a loud red. So I'm going to take my loud red and wiggle it right on the bottom just to kind of create that texture too. Wiggle, wiggle. Not about making lots of little dots. It's more about giving the illusion of a rind without having to sit there and do every little tiny circle. Because I mean, I'm zoomed in on my iPad. I see every little circle, but that, I mean, no one's going to see it zoomed in like that. And you're not going to view the artwork zoomed in like that. You got to think, pick and choose, right? What we want, what is necessary. Little shadow underneath that guy. Maybe there's a little shadow there. Also, when we start to lay in more colors on top of our base, we have to also be mindful that it's going to look weird till we get other stuff around it too. And we won't really see how things are until we get more in. So like at this stage, I think I have enough in here to just kind of be able to migrate elsewhere. Although I keep seeing little things I want to put in, like the highlights. So I'm just going to put them in. I can't not put them in with my cream color. But a healthy thing to do is, you know, to stop, bring everything else up to the level that you need to be at. There's a little guy there. There's a little leaf. I missed that little guy. How did I miss you? You're going to go in right here. I'll tackle you later. It's okay to have some dots for the highlights, but really, I mean, a lot of it is just little squiggles. So, and that was with my cream, not my white. So let me move to this next guy over here. Now, I didn't put in the shadow underneath the leaf, so I want to make sure I capture that under here. And under here, and looks like there's a little bit more darkness on that side. So I'm going to go ahead and just layer those in. And then I'm going to go ahead and start getting in some of my orangey tone, which I don't like that color. Go back with my Velveeta. Definitely more Velveeta over here. You can see how I'm using the side of it, not even, look, this little guy is so tiny to hold, but I'm using the side still, not even the tip. Just letting the side of it dictate that texture. A little bit of red. That's a great color to show that transition into the shadow. Squiggly wiggle. And then it's about also weaving your color in with each other. So I'm going to take a little bit of the red, work it up into the orange, bring the orange a little bit down into the red. A lot of bright stuff up here. A lot of this lemon yellow. Just in some spots. We just, like I said, we don't want to have a round lemon. But I'm squinting my eyes. I know you guys can't see my eyes, but they are squinted so I can see the values in which we need to capture. And I see that I need to go a lot darker on this underside here. I'm going to go ahead with a little bit of my dark brick red. See where that takes me instead of reverting straight to a brown. It's kind of a brown red, so. And I can plan out where this little stem is going to go because that's important too. That eats up a lot of space. So let's see, I'm going to draw him in with black first. Looks like even though he's really light, looks like he kind of comes out into the background, even though that's going to be a little trickier to go around. That's okay. It's kind of a big shape, so I should be able to go around it. And then I'm gonna take my light blue. I got two blues. I see a more of a medium blue here. And then a little light blue. Boom. It's almost like an arm. Looks like an insect arm. I made mine a little too bended, but that's all right. It's quite all right. Okay, I'm gonna let that guy be for a little bit. So if we zoom out, let's look at the difference between the ones that are just kind of plopped a little more and the ones that are still just blank. So big difference there. So I'm gonna go ahead and kind of just block in the rest of the 4, and I'll stay recorded so we can see that. But we got 2 and then a quarter and a half of 1. So this one's very dark on the shadow side though. I could almost use, like, I was gonna say a black, but I'm thinking also of how would colors lay on top of a black. It might mix and make an icky color because yellow and black, they make a green, which could work in some situations, but not so much. But you can use it also a color to help shape the subject. And we don't really even see where this guy ends necessarily. He kind of just like goes into darkness. So when I do the darkness down here, it's just going to kind of recede and disappear. Let's do our Velveeta. This is a very important color, this Velveeta color. It's like a yellow orange. And remember, they don't have to be perfectly round because they're not. Some are a little more squat. Some are a little more oblong. A little with our lemony color now. The trick is to think of it as just a basic sphere and to think about how light can only hit so many parts of this at once. And it's not about getting that color everywhere in an area because then it's going to look flat. You have to make it look like there's one highlight point that it radiates out there with kind of almost like circular bands in a way. A little more texture there. Carry some of this yellow down. Here and there, not everywhere. We don't need, we know it's an orange or a mandarin or a tangerine. Whatever yours looks like, that's what the title is. Avocado, whatever it needs to be. There we go. Couple little. Now up close, when I see this in person, I'm like, oh, that looks like a weird ball of dots. But shrunken down, when I see it on screen, I'm like, okay, that's a little more orangey looking. So I'm okay. So keep that in mind. You gotta look at it from a distance because if you don't, or shrunken down, same thing. If you don't, you're gonna beat yourself up. I don't want you to do that. This is all pretty dark in here. Now, keep in mind, we also don't have to make it look exactly like the photo. If there's an area that you're like, oh, I really want that area to show. I like that. Then of course, that's why we do art, right? We change the world. We make it our own world. Otherwise, why wouldn't we just keep the photograph? Some of these highlights on the oranges are a little bit cooler too, but I'm gonna do that kind of later. Well, maybe I can do it now. I could take my little wannabe white, but it's really a pale blue, but it still looks like white kind of color. Put that on there. This orange doesn't even have any of that lemony yellow. It really just has that Velveeta yellow. Just watch that yellow down into the shadows because it might start to look a little odd. Might mix a little differently. I forgot a leaf that's supposed to be over here, and it would block a whole bunch of spots that I'm trying to make up, but then I'm realizing that it's because there's a leaf in the way. I could do it, or I could just leave it. But either way, I'm going to put in my little stem hold thing, and my stem does not go even outside of this shape because it is foreshortened coming up at me. Oh, a little bit of something there. Wonderful. And I got 1/4 and 1/2 of one down here to do. So let's see. A little Velveeta. I don't see too much of the shadow on this guy because it's cut off. Let's get a little bit of more yellow over here. And then we'll do our highlight. Highlight is pretty blue though. Go with my light color. You could do white, you could do blue with white on top, or you could just say, you know what, I'm just gonna do white, or I'm just gonna do cream. It's all fine. They're all good options. And sometimes when you put down a lot of soft pastel, you're not going to be able to layer hard pastel on top. So that's, you know, something to just keep in mind if you're working with something that is that you know you're going to have to do something on top of. Just a little trickier. One more over here. And put that one leaf. Let's put you in. There you go. There you go, little leaf. Ooh, now it's stink bug time. The stink bugs want to come in now. I don't know where they're coming from. Red. Also keep in mind if there's an orange that is off to the side or the corner, like the one I'm doing now, he doesn't even need to be that in the spotlight. Like I just went a little overboard with the yellow, and I kind of want to squiggle some red on top of it because I'm making him a little too a little too much, I feel. Kind of looks, I don't know. And then what's awesome about the rubbing alcohol, you can always rubbing alcohol over an orange and then say, I'm going to cover you with blue if you don't behave. Let's see, I think that is a little too strong texture-wise. I'm just going to kind of
I touched the paper.
touch the paper. Did it happen like mine with that little white thing?
Yes, only it's a big white thing.
Okay, let it dry thoroughly, and then as it's thoroughly dry, we'll kind of assess the situation.
Okay. I thought it was dry. It felt dry.
Yeah, did you do hair dryer?
I did.
You did, okay.
Did. I mean, it feels dry, but I'm not going to do anything yet. I'm going to leave it.
Let me pause there.
You should just keep going and then, I'll just watch. No, really, and catch up.
It's nice though to take a break in between steps. But all right, whatever you say, sounds good. Okay, so I'm going to tackle these leaves now, these flat leaves. These leaves are just so light. I don't even think this light green I have is going to be light enough, but let's find out. It's a little more neutral than I thought, so it's almost blending with the color that's in the background right now. But I think I'm gonna use this like crazy green I never use. It's like, ooh, that's actually perfect, but I never use this green. It's like a toothpaste.
The chartreuse one?
No, it's a color I grabbed just now. It's like more of like a sea foam. It's like toothpaste. Literal toothpaste. But yeah, I can kind of hone in and crispen some of these up because that's a very soft pastel. So I need to use some of my darker, harder pastels to create some edges and some little three-dimensional nuances that I need. Let's see, I can always use the background color too to help kind of crispen up some of these leaves. Like that just made a big difference, that little edge there. So let's see, a little bit of some green again over here. A little bit of light blue. That's always important too. I'm just gonna make sure there's a little dark underneath this guy. And then we'll go to the next one. This almost looks like it has like a halo of light around it, but that's just because I haven't put the dark right up against it yet. I could take the time to do that now if it bothers me, so I think I might. Be very careful over and when you go over that like ripped area, you're not gonna be able to like just go over it because it might rip more, but it also might just not fill in. So you almost have to like tap in and like use your finger to kind of get in those ripped zones.
Okay.
I just kind of wiggled it in there and then tap, 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 and it's pre-filled. So that's good. No one will ever know.
Except us.
Except us.
It'll be our secret.
Let's see, this light and bright in. It's all about just having a very light touch. That's, I think, half the battle with pastel is, if you have a heavy hand, then it's harder because you have to learn to be gentle. And some of these are just so thick, it's ridiculous to make a thin line, but we can do it. Oh, there's an ant right in front of my face. There's been an ant living in my studio for a while, and He's coming down onto my phone now. Hello, Aunt. I don't like the way you look right in front of my face. So. But a lot of people like, are scared to put color in leaves, which I get, but there is a lot of blue in the highlights of these leaves and even in the stem and stuff. So always notice the subtlety of some of the colors.
Did you put brown in the orange?
You can. I was using a very brown red. There we go. Now these guys look so rough. I need to, I'm not going to use my finger to blend, but what I am going to do is I'm going to use a hard pastel and I'm going to use that. Oh, this one looks number 418. That's just like my soft toothpaste color, except this is hard toothpaste. This is great. I need this color. So I'll use a hard pastel to blend pastel into each other.
Okay.
Instead of using my finger. It's kind of a nice way to push it around without having to pick it up with a smudge stick or even with my finger, either or. I'm gonna get a little blue in there. Gotta have the blue.
For the stem, did you do black?
I did black and then I did this, I don't know, it's something 55, 355 maybe. It's a very like cerulean blue. And then I did a little bit of the light blue, but all new pastels I did. The black new pastel, the light blue for the highlights, which is something 35. And then it's either 235 or 335. I don't think it's 435. I don't know. One of those, something 35, light blue. I think it's even in like the 12 count set. So, and some of these leaves are not even as toothpastey bright. Like the ones that are down here, like they're really not even that bright. So I don't need to even use that color. I'm gonna go back to my darker color. And I spy blue still. I definitely see some blue in there. Put that blue in. This is gonna be the same color I'm gonna use in part of my background too. My little arteries here, and kind of suggest them with a dark or a light. That's intense. All right, where else do I have leaves? I got all these leaves on the outside. Let me tackle those next. So on the, oh, there's this guy over here. I forgot. Poor little guy. Let's do him. So he already has his dark green on him. Now I have to make him framed out with a little bit of some dark. That's going to dictate how dark I go everywhere else, and the background is just as important. It's just black I'm throwing in right now just to kind of get it the value it needs to be right off the bat. A little bit of darkness. Always look at it from a distance. You might have enough there without having to do much more. Because we tend to overwork things. We tend to say like, oh, well, I know that this exists here, and you know, I need this to be this way. But do we really? Do we really? No, we really don't need to have everything everywhere. All right, let me do these other guides over here. And since this guy's all the way in the corner over here, I don't know if I want to go too loud with him. I might just kind of let him be for a little bit. Oh, the ant. Get out of here. Sorry, ant. Oh, I just whacked him. You got to get out of my box. All right, bye. I don't like things crawling on me. Reestablishing some of my heavy darks on the underside. Okay, looks pretty good. I'm really just paying attention to why is it dark and where does it stop? Where does it end? Well, that kind of looks like a leaf. Let's see, a little bit more up here. Get my blues in. Sometimes my light blue looks so white sometimes, and I have to go stronger with my blue, so I use a more middle value blue. My like cerulean kind of blue. All right, we'll do these guys down here. He's a little yellowier. Not that yellow. Tone it down. Sometimes the colors we have are probably more right on than we think. We just don't have the color next to it that it needs to be, or the value next to it. A little bit of light, some of these little tendrils. Sometimes it's a matter of just kind of going on top of a area with one color and unifying it all too. All right, now I got Here's my suggestion, make less leaves. Make less leaves. Oh, all right, got these triple ones over here now, up on the top. This side. All right, a little bit more contrast. I'm gonna get my blue in there again. Light blue. My leaves literally have like almost no green. It's really just blue and black. I gotta green them up a little bit, but I mean they're dark leaves and they're in like a shiny, like very blue lit environment. So sometimes when we think a color is a color, it's not. So always something to just be mindful and to keep looking at it from a distance. All right, I have this Mod Podge of leaves. I don't know what's going on in this corner, and it's that time.
I know.
Gotta deal with
That
what's up?
corner is, that corner,
This corner. I know. I'm like,
it's hard to tell what's going on down there.
I know. I almost just have to like make up my own. Like, all right, I know this is gonna be a leaf. I'm gonna let that guy be a leaf. He looks more leafy now. And I'm just gonna kind of this guy a leaf over here. I don't know how he's bending, but the trick is to make it all dark and then just have some highlights kind of popping out too. So when in doubt, we don't have to sculpt things that we don't necessarily see. Sometimes it's all about drawing the area around it too, which is what I just did. Just blocked in black around everything, and that kind of helped that. I think that looks like a leaf. Enough. Maybe one more right over here. All right, well, that's something. All right, now the blue areas, that's the part I've been itching to do. I'm dying to do the blues. So I am just gonna take my black stone to kind of creep around some things. Since it's a nice hard edge, I can correct some of my shapes, go around, make things nice and super crisp where I want them to be. And then I can start laying in some of my blues. It's just a matter of which blues do I want. This blue is a very more red heavy blue, which is kind of like what's in the picture. I'm gonna use a little bit of everything. I'm gonna kind of keep the texture that's just happening naturally too. I just want to make sure that I don't end up with little auras of color or auras of black around stuff, because I don't want that. I want it to be just cohesive and making sense. But I like that blue. The more layers I'll put on, the more it will kind of unify a lot of these sections that I'm feeling a little unsure about. It's just like putting, it's like having like frosted glass over something. It's like, oh, I can still kind of see in it, but it's slightly masked. It's nicer. Same thing. Getting there. You can kind of see how like the difference between the area I did do and the area obviously I didn't do. And this obviously still needs more layers, but you can tell how it's just slowly kind of getting a little bit more uniform and pulling itself together, crispening up some edges and having a very light touch over my blacks because I don't want to make it not dark. I want to just graze the color on top of it while still trying to maintain the dark. It looks so purple over here. Maybe it is purple. I don't know what color this is anymore. But purple's gonna look great. Blues are gonna look great. Purple's the opposite of yellow. It's gonna make all that stand out. Around. All right, getting there. Now I'm going to do another layer of a blue that is just maybe a little bit more loud. Maybe kind of like choose a location. This doesn't go everywhere because that's going to start to lighten my darks too much. So I'm going to maybe just kind of keep it in this neck of the woods, keeping that texture. Now, if you don't like the texture, obviously you can always get rid of it. Here and there, not everywhere. Let's see, I need something in that dark area now. I'm going to try to find a new pastel that's a nice dark blue. This looks pretty nice. So it's not so purpley, and that new pastel is going to help me kind of blend a little bit too, but without using my finger. I also don't want them to look outlined still. So see what's going on here where I have this black. I'm just going to kind of go back and radiate this dark outwards so it doesn't just feel outlined.
Mhm.
In there, let's go a little more with, ooh, this is the blue. This is the blue I started with. This is that Rembrandt blue. Loud stuff. In there. I'll probably do it more on the sides. Let's see, it's constantly looking at it shrunken down. Okay, I think that is pretty all right. Now, since I have it all in, I'm gonna go ahead and make a couple stronger blue highlights on some of these guys that have the highlights stronger on them. I'm gonna use a little bit of my pale blue. I'm gonna use a little bit of more of a louder blue, because sometimes the louder blue isn't really even that loud when it's in a context of a million other things. And plus, if we think about it, if the highlights there is reflecting a light source, so, you know, in this context of being in a blue sea, and also the fact that it is probably by a window, there's probably going to be some little subtle blue highlights, especially if they're on the leaves too. So it just kind of ties everything together a little more. Let's see, picking and choosing what goes where. Oh, this guy needs a little stem thingy. We're just going to make one up on you.
Just make one.
Yeah, the one that's in the picture I don't like. It looks confusing. So. We'll just make it. And a little stems. I see eyes fly. Sometimes it's just the stems that, like, you don't even notice, that need to just be put in and placed in gently. Okay, where else? Here needs to be constantly looking at it from a distance, noticing that, you know, like this leaf technically should be casting a little more of a shadow onto this guy. So just going in with my dark purpley red and making a little more dark there. All right, I think that is just about where it needs to be. Okay, so you look like an orange, right? All right, we'll stop there.